This is a 2023 studio tour of my mobile studio. I get plenty of questions, people asking like, what equipment do you use? And so I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of my full studio, top to bottom. It's set up. I'm in an Airbnb in Manila right now and about to pack it down. So I thought I'd give you a quick rundown on what it actually looks like. So I've got a lot of stuff going on here. Usually the table's a bit cleaner, but I'm in the middle of pack down. So yeah, forgive me for that if it looks a little bit confusing. Let's start at the top here. So I've got a little camera there. It's a Canon M6 Mark II, pretty basic Canon camera, and it's got a nice wide-angle Sigma lens on the front. It's a 1.4 lens. I really like using professional DSLRs rather than just a high-quality webcam, which would be good enough, but I like using high-quality DSLRs because you get that nice bokeh effect, and it means that if the team need to like crop in or make any changes, the picture's always going to be nice and sharp. So I use that camera, but I mean, if you're traveling and creating content, you could use an iPhone, which is what I'm recording on right now, or most cameras and laptops these days are 1080p, which is absolutely plenty. Audio is much more important than video, which is why I've got a mini shotgun plugged into my phone right now. It's from Rode. It's called a Micro Me or something like that. Anyway, but it plugs into the lightning port of my phone. And gives me a little mini shotgun, which is very cool. Okay, so that's a camera. It's got a little baby LED light on the top. I don't know what the brand is, but it just kind of plugs into the top of the camera. And importantly, I've got a little charging barrel inside the camera. I don't use the camera's internal battery because if I've got the camera on all day long, eventually it'll run out. So I went to Amazon and I got a little charging cable that goes, it puts a fake battery in the bottom of the camera, and it actually gives you a USB cable, which I just plug into a power bank, and that will last like for a day or two on the power bank, which is very cool. I'll see if I can see what that is called. No, it appears to be unbranded, so sorry, can't tell you what that is. Okay, I've got an iPad mini here on a tripod. This I don't usually use for live streams, but if I'm pre-recording something, then I'll use that for my notes. And so my eyes can just look below the camera a little bit and refer to my bullet point notes if I need them for a video. Also, while I'm sitting here doing meetings with my team, which is what I spend most of my time doing, I'll have the Google Meet on there, and then I'll be typing my notes on the laptop because I'm in Asana all day long just typing notes on the meetings that I'm in, and then I'll just actually join the meeting from there. Is usually the easiest thing for me to do. I will use that to monitor the live stream as well. So when I'm live, pretty much all I need is my computer and the camera. But basically when I'm live, I will use the iPad to monitor when I'm live. So monitor comments, monitor how many people are on the stream. If I forget to change between my computer screen and looking at me, I'll see that pop up in the screen after the stream after a couple of seconds. So I can just kind of monitor what's going on live. Okay, cool. So I've got another screen here. This is a Ninja 5, and it's basically an external recorder. That's extra. It's not really needed, but it basically takes a clean feed of HDMI out of the camera that would otherwise be going into my laptop and then being streamed, and it just records it to a solid state drive. Records it in high quality as well, which is really good in 1080p. I could record 4K if I wanted to, but don't really need it. And that's a little bit extra, but because I'm really only good at saying things once, I don't like to have to re-record anything ever, and so it's basically a backup recording because from time to time the app will crash on my computer and the recording won't work, or downloading it from the live stream might be a little bit choppy if the internet's not amazing. So I've got that as a secondary backup. That also doubles if I'm doing film projects. Let's say I'm filming myself presenting to a bunch of people and I need to have just like 90 minutes of straight up recording. I can pop that guy on the top of the camera. It's got 2-3 hours worth of battery, and it will just sit there and pull the HDMI signal out of the camera and record it to disk and save that there for a long period of time. Okay. While we're talking about that, let's talk about my audio setup. So I actually use a Rode wireless kit. You get a couple of these little things. You just clip that onto me, or sometimes I'll just clip it on here on the tripod so the microphone is pointing at me. And that basically goes straight into the camera, so the audio is synchronized to the camera's video recorder. It means that we don't have to reconnect the audio later or clap your hands or anything like that to line up and synchronize it. Just goes straight into the camera, and then it's recorded both on my computer and on the external screen as well. Computer's pretty straightforward. I bought a MacBook Air specifically for traveling. I've always been a Chrome guy. I've got a Chrome box in my studio. I also used to travel with a Chromebook as well. I love them. I love the operating system. It's much better. But there's just one app that I need for live streaming that will switch between my computer screen and then also my camera and do intros and outros and that kind of thing. It's called Ecamm, E-C-A-M-M. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on Chrome, so I'm stuck without it. So I had to force myself to buy a MacBook Air. I just bought the most basic one, and it works fine. It's not very intensive graphics-wise. So how do I get the camera signal into the laptop? How does that work? Well, I use this little box here. This is called an AVerMedia Live Gamer. It's like this tiny little baby box here. Just plugs in via USB-C. That's actually called a capture card. So there are some made by Elgato, E-L-G-A-T-O. And you can use either one, like a Cam Link is a really popular one, which is about $100, and you just plug it into USB. This one I like because it's USB-C and it goes straight into the laptop. I don't have to bother with an adapter, but it also has an output as well. And that output out of that little capture card goes into my Ninja. So it goes from the camera into the capture card and then back out of the capture card into the Ninja. And so that means I've got my backup recording there. But effectively, that then means that my camera, my DSLR, shows up as, you can see here, just shows up like a webcam. And then I use my streaming software for that as an input. Now, I could join a Zoom meeting, I could join a Google Meet, and basically just have my camera show up right there as an input source, as a webcam, and it will work in any app that any old webcam will work in. So that is very cool. All right. Now you might have noticed this little guy here, which is pretty cool. This is actually called a Stream Deck. And the Stream Deck basically lets me, if you see on my screen, when I press these little buttons, it changes scenes in my live stream software. And so what that is doing is it's basically triggering a scene. And I've got one scene for the intro, one scene for camera just on me, one scene showing my computer with my little picture in the top hand corner, and I can just trigger those as I'm talking. And so as I'm talking and presenting straight down the line to the camera, my left hand is on the side. I'm also producing basically. I'm clicking the button and I'm switching between the different inputs, and that does that as well. Now, every now and again, I will want to draw something, so I use an iPad Pro for that. I've got my little pen there, and if I want to draw or explain something, I'll usually use the Jamboard app, because the Jamboard synchronizes live between all my different devices. So I can just open up a tab with the Jamboard web interface on my computer, and that's going to show me what's happening on my iPad. You can connect your iPad to your Mac with a cable and have it show up as like an input source, but it's not working on mine for some reason. The charging port on my iPad is a little bit dead, so that doesn't seem to be working for me. But for now, I just use Jamboard, and that works. So that's my full studio. It kind of packs down into my suitcase. It's pretty straightforward. I don't travel with much else. It's pretty light. Most of this can also be run off battery if I absolutely have to, but of course it's easier to plug in. I will say that if you've got this far, you're probably getting really excited to go out there and buy some gear and buy some hardware right now. To be honest, be very, very careful doing that. I love this setup, and there's particular reasons why I use this setup for particular kinds of content that we produce. Let me tell you, your audience does not give a shit about your production. As long as your audio is good, people just care about your content. And so recording from an iPhone is absolutely fine. Yes, you may not get the buttery, smooth background of bokeh behind you, but you will get 80-90% of the way there. And most people don't really give a shit about what it looks like. As long as it sounds good and your content is good, that's all that really matters. But that is what is in my kit if you are interested. It's way overkill, but it works for me, and I look forward to producing more content for you. If you've got questions, drop them below. I don't really enjoy answering gear questions. There are so many places you can go on YouTube to learn about gear, so I probably won't answer them, but if it's something really basic, I'll try. Anyway, see you next time. Cheers.